I like this.
Baby, no listen,
We have no copyright to this song.
ma, you no listen, ma, oh. Baby, no listen, ma. Because no listen, ma, oh. Ma, you no listen, ma. Ma, you no listen, ma, oh. Baby, no listen, ma. Me, I want all the time when they be cassava. Eh, now you never do the man. Nana, because I let you must do me tabata. Eh, you're busy cooking now, one. Sweet, I'm on they let me wait in London. Oh, can I be baby, where you come from? She won't follow me.
So everyone, that music is by Peter Tell. Who's singing, please?
You know who that is? That's Teddy Rod and CIC. It's kind of older, but it's
Teddy
I
Rod
like
is
that.
CIC?
Yes.
Okay, folks, this is straight out of Liberia. That's the one I word. Talented young people playing, singing a song that gets the hearts and soul of the nation. Teddy Rod and PIC, they're renowned talents out of Liberia, West Africa, and of course we in the U.S. and we have a young woman out of the School of Journalism in Liberia and out of the University of Liberia here to talk to us briefly. But we want to go ahead and set the tune. We need to go ahead and open this conversation, the reason why we are all here. So good afternoon. Welcome to the Kitchen Talk on Saturday. Today is the 29th of May 2026. That is behind us. What are we talking about today? We are going to be talking about when the foundation is faulty. What does that mean? When you build anything that you build on the faulty start, eventually it's going to crumble. Okay, a crumble. So how do we build a Liberia that we all deserve? That's what we want to talk about today. And what's in the pipeline? When do we have an opportunity to make that change? We always believe as educators, as people who study history, we believe now or in fact yesterday was the time. Yesterday is the time to correct all of the bad things that we've done, all the mistakes that we've made, all the bad steps that we're taking. What Liberia needs to force forward. Okay, we talk about what are the present issue at this point that Liberia need to face. So that's what we're going to talk about. This is how we're going to start the conversation, and I'm going to take it to Peter. Peter.
Yeah. Again. Yeah. Thanks for another conversation about our beloved country, our people. Again, for those who much is given, much is expected. The reason we speak is because we know that things should be better for, especially for the young people, if the country's going to grow. Liberia's population, I think, under 30 is about 75%. So we have a huge, outside our natural resources, just our young, brilliant people that should be heavily invested in right now by the government. What other governments did that left poverty. A lot of times, too many people act like Liberians, poverty is our portion because they don't understand other people have been in a position that we're in and they were able to escape. So those of us who were lucky enough to escape and come to another people's country and learn how other nations did it, we have to keep speaking and shining light on the things that should be happening and speaking truth to power. Those of us who cannot be harmed or have our jobs taken away from us, we need to speak for those people who can't speak for themselves. I'm glad that we have Natus here today so we can have a conversation and ask some questions about what's going on, and we will go from there.
Thank you, Peter. So that said, we are going to bring in a young lady who is actually, or she just went off the moment she come back. What's on the minds of the young people? What do the young people think? What do the young people say? What is their aspiration at this point? What do they hope for from their leaders? Okay, how do we change the direction of the wind to benefit the future of the nation? Peter. Okay, there she is. She's here. Okay, let me see if I can get her. Hold on. Okay, she's trying to get me. Okay. All right. Natural, we just talked about. Oh, I think that's. The phone is, you hear the
Our
data is,
phone is mute. You're muted. We can't hear you.
no, she's
Can't
not
hear you.
muted. It's squeaking. Something is wrong with the phone. Go back out and come back in. That noise is from her phone. It's from the internet. That noise is from the internet. Oh, so here it is. Not to, if you're on it, you can't put out radio, you can't put out your Facebook. So there's a feedback from something. Okay. Let's see if she comes back. So Peter, we can continue the conversation. We had, you and I had a heart-to-heart conversation this morning. What do we need to move forward? And we're gonna be bringing this home because we have people coming in talking about comparing America to Liberia. The foundational issue with America or the building process of America is nothing like Liberia. Okay, America moved in and took over what we would call direct rule per se. Okay, and literally colonized this area. And not only did they imported by force a workforce for literally 400 years. Did they know that where they come from? They didn't understand their tribe. 400 years is 10 generations. Okay? It's 10 generations. Every 20 years is a generation. So by the second generation, you've already lost their identity. By the fourth, they have made it a home, although as uncomfortable. I think Peter talked about it in our last conversation, especially they have to do it. So let's bring Natu back. Okay, Mama, you cannot be listening to yourself. So if you have any system on, turn it off. We can't hear you. You gotta come on with your we can't hear you. You're not working.
No.
I'm gonna go. Peter, go ahead. Go ahead. Let me call.
Yes. So the topics we want to cover today, as I'm writing this down, Darius Dillon's effort to disempower, to disenfranchise Liberians who were able to leave Liberia. Right? He's had this consistent effort to make sure we don't have a voice in our government. We can't vote. We can't serve in any way, shape, or form. The only thing he wants is to be able to exploit the Liberians who are out of Liberia for money. And because he's in a position of power, which is he's a policymaker, some of the policies that he's consistently looking to implement is don't allow them to be part of government. Don't allow them to vote because he's trying to get rid of competition. He doesn't want competition because he knows he's inadequate. Okay. So the new thing with Darius Dillon, the latest thing with Darius Dillon right now is to disqualify Mr. Cummings from running. And he's using, because he's not educated at all. I don't think he's even a high school graduate. So he doesn't even understand the laws of the body that he works for or the entity he works for. He believes that Cummings should be disqualified because of the percentage he got, not reading what the law says, which is about the political party eligibility will be called into question, not even after the first time. The law literally says if they consistently get below a certain amount. But that law was about political parties, not an individual. But because he doesn't synthesize information very well. He's not someone who comprehends things very well. So he's trying to use his position of power to disenfranchise Cummings. The second thing I want to talk about is we're going to play that video on Cummings having an interview with OKFM and the reporter asking if Cummings can bring investors in, ask his friends, what can we do to help Liberia? And Cummings speaking about the environment. The environment is so important and people don't get that. This issue I have with Dwalu. He thinks just infuse money into Liberia, just invest in this thing. It doesn't work like that. And these are people who don't understand the importance of nuanced details on anything you talk about. You can't just do it. It's not that simple. Okay. Liberia's problems is systems. Okay, we're going to talk about systems that needs to be built and what other nations did. Speaking of Dwalu, another thing that was said the other week that we didn't touch, I wanted to touch on this week is what you hear is you hear these people now starting to say the same things we are saying, right? We need to invest in human capital. We need to, the government needs to follow the models of Southeast Asian nations countries, right? Like Singapore. They're going to stop. You're going to hear them start saying that. But what they're missing is they're going to speak of this we can do the same thing, did less poverty. What they are not telling you is how intentional the steps those people took were, right? These people did systematic things, not just one country, not two, not three, over 10 countries, okay, including African countries. We continue to do that. We just don't want our message of what we're saying to go over people's head or to be muddy, the water to be muddy, and people go, well, they're both saying the same thing. We're not saying the same thing. We're referencing the same countries, but we're not saying the same thing. Because what Dwalu and those people from UP haven't done is study this. So there are nuanced details that they're skipping. And when they mention those countries, it sounds like they're saying the same thing we're saying, and they're attempting to do what we're saying they should do, but they're not. So we want to go into a little details about that. Okay. And the next thing is citizenship. That's a new thing that's coming up. We knew this was coming. We knew that this is why they were breaking down our homes, our people's homes, so that foreigners can buy off those lands. And they can, when I said they, I'm talking about the government, the people in charge now can get kickbacks from those, the purchasing of those lands. There's a reason why Liberia was protected from people who have access to money, other nations giving their citizens money to come to Liberia to buy off those land. The BAE story. They're now celebrating the guy who's come to Liberia, who's supposed to build low income homes or just to build homes. What they're not saying is why that idea is one of the worst ideas ever. It sounds good on the surface. Someone's building homes. The country's going to look better. What they're not understanding is the price of things going up, number one. Number two, the biggest problem that we have, which is capital flight. When you give that guy money to build those homes, the money invested, the rent paid, the mortgage paid for those homes, or just the straight out purchase of those homes, guess in that guy's bank account. His bank account is connected to his kids in the United States, his kids in Ghana, his kids all over the other parts of Africa. And this is what we've been saying. We have to build systems. When I talk about systems, we are talking about we have to make sure that the money that's going to Liberia, to the money that's coming in Liberia, $800 million from the diaspora going to Liberia, that money, a vast majority of it, is being reemitted out the country. It's been taken out the country by Lebanese, by Chinese, by other African countries. The country will never build. We need to put systems in place where the money is recycled in the country. No investors is going to come to a country where they can't make money. When Cummings says the environment has to be right, it has to be right. And I want us to also talk about that. How do you make this environment right? Okay, so those are things that we want to talk about today, Yasendi. But starting with Darius Dillon and what UP is now attempting to do, which is muddy the water as to sounding similar. And this is the con game they've always played. You never ask a Joseph Boyka to articulate an educational plan. He couldn't tell you what his educational philosophy is. He couldn't tell you how he's going to create low-skilled jobs. What we do is we let these people pay lip service. During the election cycle, you hear Joseph Boyka saying kids are selling in the streets. These are all things that are abhorrent to the Liberian population. We don't like to see that. So what he does is he pulls on our heartstrings and regular Liberians' heartstrings and says, this man really, really cares. But what he doesn't do is offer any real solutions that people can ask questions about. How, when, what are the landmarks that we should look for? He never does that. They never do that, but they can tell you what the problems are or what the problem is, but they would never fix it. And there's a con game that they continue to play over and over and over again. So I want us to start with the Darius Dillon talking about preventing Cummings from running for office again, and what the law actually says, and what are their intentions. Why did these people say to Cummings, you are a forger, you're a criminal? Why did it say to him, you are homosexual? Why did it say to him, you have no experience, you've been gone for a long time? Why did all these things happen? Why is Darius Dillon continuously trying to put down diasporan Liberians? Because he knows that we know better and we can speak truth to power without fear of consequences. So Yasendi, I'm not sure where you are, but those are things I wanted us to talk about today. You're muted, Yasendi.
I'm here. I was listening to you to have the platform. First and foremost, for me, okay, let me say this. I remember clearly, and I will play this video with Alexander Cummings with a question being asked. I remember clearly in the end when the international forensic team came to Liberia, and Yomle Kanga made doing an interview saying, "Oh, I did not ask Alexander Cummings to. I never said he did such. I said because he was the leader at the time, he should take responsibility." And my word to her is, you are taking a man to the gallows and you are telling him he should take responsibility for what he has not done. And this is a man who, and I'm going to just be blunt, your husband died in a car accident, he's still with you. When you literally threw in the tower and say, after your term, you're going to leave and go to the States to stay with your children and rest, he's still with you. You gave him his key. You trusted him. You gave him your key to your house to go to your house in Boston to help you run your campaign. I have some picture with him on motorbike going to the Boston University to speak on your behalf in the night, helping you to install a solar panel. So here is my thought, Peter. My thought here is somehow in the Liberian society, we have hatred, especially those who are in the position of power. We have hatred with people who have succeeded, okay, and ethically, with hard work and intentionality, okay. It's thing we have that, and we try to keep them out. Yeah, and here's where I'm coming with this. I would tell people, I listened to a Liberian girl the other day who was talking about her parents. She said, I asked my mom for gas money for $20. She would tell me she has no money. But the moment those calls are coming in from Liberia, okay, the first thing is she's running to send, even she would say, Cameron, you wanted to talk to me? Peter, I think my daughter wanted my attention. You can go ahead and continue, please.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about the Darius Dillon thing. I want us to start there. There's a reason why he's doing that. There's a reason why Darius Dillon is trying to prevent a person like Cummings from leading the country. Our country is not going to grow without meritocracy. When we speak of meritocracy, we're talking about if someone claims to be a doctor, there are a lot of studying that has to go into that. There is information they have to have. And if you don't have that information, you really can't help people with it. You can pretend to do it, but you're not really helping people. The person like Mr. Cummings and those of us who have left and actually acquired information, they threaten the facade a person like Darius Dillon and the people who benefit from him have. Okay. They threaten that facade. They threaten the facade to the extent where if a Cummings was to come and the systems was to be built, now the standard is going to be risen. If the standard is elevated, it eliminates those with low quality, low standard. It eliminates them. It eliminates the people who just pay lip service. Okay, it eliminates those people. So Darius Dillon and the rest of his people will say what they're saying and try to eliminate competition because it hurts them. So I don't know if it's hate or it's just object fear. They are fearful that the things that they're doing and getting away with, someone who knows better will not allow them to do the same thing. They won't be able to get away with it. Youngly Conga Lawrence making an excuse after pulling the trigger and shooting a gun that comes to his head, but missing, and then saying that it's not a big deal. Oh, I didn't say that. It's a major problem. Just as it's a problem that Darius Dillon is consistently trying to disenfranchise Liberians who he cannot manipulate. Here's why that's a problem. When Darius Dillon, Lawrence Conga Lawrence, Youngly Conga Lawrence is able to eliminate people, here's what they do. When those mothers go to the hospitals, they're still going to be dying. They're still going to die. Okay, there's still going to be no medications there. These are real people's lives. There's still going to be no jobs. The kids are still not going to have adequate education. They're still not going to be able to live to have a career. They're not going to live to not drive motorcycles or pimp or keke all around. We're still not going to have. They're not going to have homes. Okay, our country is still not going to grow. We're still going to be fully dependent on foreigners to control our entire economy. We're still going to have no schools, no hospitals. We're going to have those things. So because the people who can actually help us get those things were eliminated. So this is not a simple thing that is just politics. Oh, I didn't say that. You literally eliminated a person who could have helped the lives of other people's family. Those women going to the hospital and die on the floor. Imagine the crisis they're in, knowing that they can't get help. Would Youngly want her kids to be in that? With Darius Dillon used his position to bring his child to America. A person like Joseph Boyka take their children, himself, his wife, give them the best medical care there is when it's time when they're in crisis. What about the other people's lives? What about them? What makes you think you're better? So this is not something we should take just lying down. Yes, Andy. We can't do that because when you do that, the consequences is dire. It's not that simple. It's not just, oh, this is a political season. No, you eliminate a person by lying on him. You said he had moral. His character was. You questioned his moral character, and you was questioning because you call him a homosexual, a closeted homosexual who was hiding it. Okay. Not only did you do that, you said that he was fraudulent. You were saying that this man is you're saying that this man is he's corrupt. That's what you said when you said he forged documents. You're telling the Liberian people he's corrupt.
Just
when you call him a stranger, when Boyka calls him a stranger and say he wasn't here to be bitten by mosquitoes, you are afraid that he can do the job better. And if he does the job, because you're not capable of getting a job anyplace else to make that money, so you're going to eliminate him. But you're not eliminating him and hurting him. You're hurting the lives of Liberian people. So for me, that is way deeper than just saying that, oh, it was political times and I didn't say that. I said because he was a leader. We don't want to hear that. And I think too many people give a Youngly Conga Lawrence pass and people like Darius Dillon a pass and Joseph Boyka a pass that I am not willing to give because I have deep empathy. I care about the lives of Liberian people. I care about the lives of everyone because I know that could be me. It could be my mother on that floor at JFK, them saying go get money and we don't have money and she can bleed to death. It could be my son who is stuck in Liberia, not getting any education, learning SOSO still, when we should be paying real teachers and instead of wasting money on getting cars so that these government officials can get kickbacks. So no, this is bigger than just him saying things against Alexander Cummings. Him and Alexander Cummings, they're not in the same category. I don't care. They're grown men. They can do whatever. What I'm speaking of is how does that hurt other people, what he's doing? You trying to eliminate someone who knows and can create these systems for us and hold people accountable, who has the experience, who's able to do it. You disparaging this person's name. What are the consequences for people who have no voices? I'm saying the consequences are dire. And because of that, he needs to be eliminated. People like him and anyone who takes this lane now, anyone who thinks you can intellectualize your way out of someone character assassinating people who could help us and looking to eliminate them, you are part of the problem, is what I'm saying.
Thank you, Peter. I think Natu was here. Natu, if you're here, come back and I'll bring you on. So I was in flight until my daughter showed up. Folks, you have to remember, I'm a mother before I'm talking to you. I was talking about that, just Peter, what Peter chronicled about just a hit, okay? And I strongly believe so. We used to have a saying back when they said, you want the pancana from the dumb side, okay? You said the other part has poop on it, but you want what's inside, okay? Like I'm gonna play this video, Peter, of this that was just sent, that you sent me from with the interview with Clarence Jah with Mr. Cummings. Okay, now you want us you want us to give you money. But since the inception of this legislature, the new faces of legislature that came to power, they've asked for audit to say, okay, this is where we met the country. This is where the country is. This audit does not necessarily mean you're targeting people to take people down. It's like, let me say a common example. You are a cashier at the register in Walmart, okay? You're changing shifts. When you're changing shift, there's an audit that is going on. The cashier that is leaving must scan what is left in the drawer, and they write the report out. And they have to meet in real time with the cashier that is coming in. And the cashier that's coming in have to signature and say, you know what? John is leaving. All that says Peter and yeah. Peter is leaving. The shift is over. Peter is leaving. What do you call it? Peter is leaving $50 in the account. The $50 are in a total of $3 $10, $120, maybe $4 $5, and the rest they're in dollar bills or they're in cents. That's audit right there. Totally. That is an audit right there. No go count. That's it. Now, I will take it over. No, when Peter was leaving, Peter left me with $50. Okay. When I'm leaving and someone else is coming in, maybe I'm leaving 100 or I'm leaving $20. How is the $20 counted? How much change is left in the drawer? That is audit. Peter is not doing this to call me out, or I'm not doing this to call the next person out. I'm doing that to let the next person know this is where you're working with. Okay, you might have to go to the accounting office if somebody brought in $100 bill, okay, for you to get more change. Or you might, next time, you might have to leave this amount because the last person who entered, and you really don't have to explain. The explanation will be documented. That's what, in the nutshell, an audit is. Now, in government, an audit is you work for the people. You are accountable to the people. As such, when the people entrust you with power and the resources, be a human capital, okay, or what do you call it, financial resources, you need to tell them how you spend it. What did you spend it on? What did they get in return? That's what that is. That's what an audit is. All right, Peter, you want me to start this up? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, anyone who have a problem with audit doesn't share the objective of that company. If you, that's not a person who should be in that capacity, right? So you explain like, okay, let's account for all the money so we know how much we're making, what adjustments are there to be made if there's any. Why would anyone have a problem with that? Calling a witch hunt, it doesn't matter if it's a witch hunt. Let me explain to you guys something about government, right? In any country, what you learn is when you're in a democratic country where votes matters, the losing party become what is called the watchdog. Listen to my context in which I'm using this, because people will hear the term dog, be like, "Oh, you said dog," just like boycott. This is the problem with having people who are semi-educated calling the shots or making decisions for people, because what they do is, because they don't quite understand things, they muddy the water and make everything sound bad, or they try to twist it so that it fits their narrative. A watchdog is someone who's alert, someone who points out danger. Okay. The losing party in America is called the watchdog party. They're called conscientious objector. Okay. Dedicated objectors is what I was looking for. What they mean by dedicated objector is they're literally going to look to see anything you're doing wrong. This is how democracy operates. So it doesn't matter if they're trying to is witch hunt or whatever. Is it exposing what's happening in the country? It should be part of democracy. I like the fact that Joseph Boyka went after some people from CDC. I like that, and I encourage that. That's one thing I'm really, really happy about. Find George Weah and put him in jail for a day. Hopefully, we'll get him out quickly. Okay, go prosecute Samuel Twedt. Here's why I'm saying it. If the next president doesn't go and audit Joseph Boyka and look to put him, his wife, his kids in jail, it could be my mother. I will go after her, hard and heavy. What needs to happen is accountability needs to happen, and it can't come from a friendly place. Let's think about this. When the police is investigating someone for a crime, you know what? Who's one of the most people to go and ask questions about this person? Their exes, your divorced husband, your divorced wife, your ex that you broke up with. Why did it do that? Because that person would spill all the dirt on them. And we need to know the information. Not necessarily they're going to lie. Even if they lie, we're going to investigate anyway. We want there to be this objective transparency. We are looking for transparency. You must tell us what's coming in, what's going out. Again, let's go back to what we're talking about. There's a reason why a person like Darius Dillon does not want competent people. The problem with that is I don't care what Darius Dillon wants. Who the hell is Darius Dillon compared to my family members? Is his life better than my family member or your family members? Is Joseph Boyka's wife better than someone's mother? So part of the reason, Sandy, forgive me, but I am not very polite when I talk with this man on social media, on mass media. The reason for that is they don't understand the empathy I have. It could be, I don't even have to support Cummings or George Weah. The fact that you are able to have a person like Prophet Key talk in the most vile way about that man's private parts, his mother calling her a prostitute, talk about how this man have whatever up his backside, and any woman, including yourself, Yasendi, who dared to speak up, he will describe your private parts. And for Joseph Boyka to go in the background and say, "You're doing a good job, keep it up, I'm proud of you." For that same Joseph Boyka to go to court and show up and look at Cummings in the eye, say, "I don't know this man." When we have videos of you saying that we were friends for a long time, way before that. For that same to call him a stranger and call him a strange package and talk about didn't get bitten by mosquitoes. What you are doing is not okay. For that same Joseph Boyka to talk about George, we are not doing this and kids in the street, and there'll be blood in Liberian street if they rig the election. For him to go rape,
if they do not win, there will be blood in the street. He's threatening the state. Yes, sir.
You treat people the way you want to be treated, and that's the hill that some of us are willing to die on. And they don't get that. Oh, you're educated. Why you say it like that? Because you didn't say it like that. I'm going to say it the way you said it. I'm going to give you all the taste of your medicine. You are going to sip every sip of this Jello bowl, and you're going to like it. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to force it down your throat. And you're lucky, and this is only going to get worse because we're working our way to the radio. You are lucky. That's all we can do. Treat people the way you want to be treated. When you are encouraging someone, if you wanted to have a policy debate and just talk about how we can build the nation and what your ideas are, why they're better, We could have done that. We do that all the time. That's what we're doing here. But when you sit there and you insult and you try to dehumanize and you strip the humanity from people and you lie on people and then you expect civility after that, it's never going to happen with some of us. This is how wars, real wars, happen. This is how the Civil War happened. This audacity, this entitlement that you guys have. No, I could have 1,000,000 degrees and I'm gonna come at you. I was a man. A lot of us were men and women before we became politically active. So you get a taste of what you put out there. And I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna be one of those people who are gonna be polite and nice about it. To each his own. I'm glad other people are doing the way they're doing it. I'm gonna handle it the way I handle it. When it's time to have an intellectual debate, we would do that. We would talk about policy. We would compare and contrast. We would say what's best. But you don't get to destroy people's lives and think that now that I'm in a position, let's change the rules. No, the rules remain the same. As a matter of fact, there's going to be some more terrorism. You want to be a conversation terrorist? I'm going to be Bin Laden. So anyway, yes, Andy, they are doing what they're doing for a reason. They want to eliminate people who are competent. Okay, so what does this? How's the saying goes? When the competent isn't available,
the incompetent rule.
That has not worked for our people. We don't have we have capital flight. We don't have jobs. We don't have schools. Our kids don't have hospitals. Our mothers don't have hospitals. Our kids don't have futures in the country. They're relegated to driving Pen and Keke, and you're there beating on them, breaking up their homes. You're bullying them. And when you get sick, you jump on a plane from their money. You jump on a private jet and go to Ghana. You take your wife to Ghana, to India, to the United States. Who the hell do you think you are? And you think someone's not going to call you out? I am not that someone. I will call you out every chance I get. I don't disrespect even children. But when you treat me a certain way, you get the same thing. And I don't want this to escape nobody. You get what you put out there, and it's not going to stop. Yes, Andy, I'm willing. Let's continue to have this policy debate. But what they're doing, what they did is a problem, and it needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Peter. I saw we seen flight earlier, and I was talking about this little Liberian girl that I saw who were talking about before my daughter interrupted, or she was trying to talk to me. And she said, when I asked my mom for $20 to put gas in my car, she tells me she has no money. But when people start calling 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, she would even take the money to pay for gas and send it to them. Okay. And she said, we are the last of the generation that will be pumping money into Liberia because we have to build for ourselves. Okay. That brings me to what I always say, Peter. We are the middle class that Liberia never created. Okay. And I think Liberia, if Liberia were like anything like Singapore or anything like South Korea have to contact the rest of the world over to send their people, okay? So they work and send the money home to build their nation. We were here and forced out, and we are here. And you don't have to ask us. And we are sending home more than what the nation yields in its domestic production with all of its natural resources. We are sending you more than that. Over 8, I'm not talking about, you're talking about $1.1 billion because ArcelorMittal gave you a sign-up bonus. That is temporary. That's a one-time. It's not going to be a part of your budget. And based on that, you want to keep that facade, which is unrealistic, okay? Although Liberia budget should be more than that because they are doing that because Alexander Cummings says so, okay? I get that. But it's like I write a program and you come over and steal my program. You do not know the background for the program in which and where I'm speaking from. You do not have the foundational knowledge that I'm thinking about and the intentionality behind that. Where am I taking this project? What is the goal of the project? What are the midpoint? What are the different benchmarks? So literally, you're going to gloss over it. You're going to project something that is unrealistic, or maybe what I say to get to that or to impress, because in Liberia, they say you fake it until you can make it, okay? That's not the way it works. So I'm saying this to say, when I heard that little girl, and I said, boom, and she was very animated about it. You could tell that her emotion were attached to that. And so my parents are supposed to be trying to plan for us. We're surviving intrastate. We have to be American. We have to be African home. We have to fit in with our friends, and we are struggling. But they're taking everything and sending it to Liberia. But I can tell you, I can guarantee you, we are the last of the generation that will take everything that we have and pump it to y'all while we forget our children. That's what this young lady was saying. I think Peter, I sent it to you. If I didn't send it to you, I will find it and send it, and I will play it here. And my heart went to her. Okay, that I have to, when I was younger, especially with my people in refugee camps, okay, I have to make decisions between my children and my family in Ghana, in Ivory Coast, in Guinea, okay. I even have to change career to be able to support them, to keep them alive. There's no regrets here. I have no regrets. I have absolutely no regrets. I think if my mother were in the position, she would have done it for me or my rest of my siblings. But realistically, if we are telling you, here we are, but you are telling us, yeah, you're good for your money, you're good for your idea, but we don't want you close. So we're going to build the walls. We're going to put in a blockade. Here is we're going to put in all these different blockade, all right, that you cannot go around. We even have to kill you, because that's what they were trying to do to Alexander Cummings, all right, and that's what they do to a lot of other Liberians. You are good. I remember when Ellis came home and built and furnished the first computer lab at the LU. His name was everywhere. He was in every newspaper. The president wanted to dine with him. All the ministers. Pape Boaka wanted to own him as his friend, as his brother that he grew up with. In fact, in our community, let me say that in clear terms. Okay. The other day, Peter, I'm not how you call it. The other day, Larry, I think Grove or something. Okay. Had the audacity to come on Facebook and call my name, back him for him, and I call him a liar. I say, because of the friendship and because of our children growing up in Georgia, this is my last warning to you. The next time you call my name with your lies, okay, about money in my community, all right, I will call you out and I will make a Facebook. When these terrorists, conversation terrorists, when they are talking, you don't give them room to breathe. You got to answer them in real time. You don't, what's his name? Winston Churchill said when they're doing the World War II, he said to the world over, okay, when he was prime minister, he said, you do not allow that dog that is barking all around. You don't ignore it. You come for it. Because when you continue to give away at once, it's going to take more. And they thought it was a joke, because the world over wanted something called the policy of appeasement. People like Boaka and the rest of the Dar es Salaam, okay, you don't try to be diplomatic with them. You call them out in real time, okay? When you need me, I'm good. When you want to use my money, I'm good. When you could wake me up, Yasendi, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm good. When my voice meant something to the Liberian people, I was the female general out of the diaspora. You will call on every platform and acknowledge that I am good. When we can signature a paper to get you to America, to give you the clout that you needed to be able to win your seat, we are good. The diaspora is functional. But when it comes to bringing what we have and being a part of the table, you have a problem with that, and that way we draw the line. But Peter, I like to play this video with Mr. Cummings.
Let me say this before you play the video. Okay. I want to point a couple of things out. Okay, people ask often, why are you so angry, and you just touched on that.
Right? I'm hungry.
I think that a lot of people, and I see that question as being so insulting. Why are you angry? My rebuttal to that is, why are you not angry? So let me point out why I'm saying this, and you just touched on it. I'm a kid that was born in Monrovia, okay, Tusa Field, and then live in Buchanan, live in Habel, then Buchanan before.
So you're from Upper River?
Yeah. Okay, I'm Liberian, but Yasendi, so are you, right? So right. Liberians, because they're in Liberia, They don't hear our Liberian accent as much. So because they're so used to hearing that, but if they have lived in America for a long time, just like the Americans do, as soon as we start to speak, they'll know that we're not Americans, right?
Right.
But people don't know that. So we are bona fide Liberian, just so is Mr. Cummings with his heavy Liberian accent. But when all you hear is like the authentic Liberian accent all the time, you know who's been out the group a little bit as soon as they open their mouths. So for
Correct.
them, that's American, right? Okay.
Correct.
Let me talk about why we angry, right? Why I have a problem with you having a problem with me being angry. I have a problem with you not being angry, angrier than me. Because to be honest with you, if I was as selfish as Darius Dillon or Young Bleed, and when I say selfish, I mean the money that you're taking for your generator, I would never have done that. I never would have done that. I never would have looked to take my kids out of Africa and make sure that they're okay while other people's children. And then forgive me now, you know I'm an educator. We're educators. So maybe innately we have in our nature, we care about other people's children
We care
like
about other
us.
people.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's where it's coming from. But maybe we need more of those type of people in society. It makes me want to like spit in your face when you say why you're
Yeah,
angry.
Peter.
Let me
Peter.
tell you why. 400 million, 500 million just from America alone in diaspora. Guess what? Logan, Furlou, my kids, Kiki, my nieces, guess what they're not going to do? They're not sending money to Liberia.
Yeah.
That
My
400 million,
parents
as
too.
the world dry up their help to African countries, the reason why we're even able to be afloat is because of what that girl you just said. Mom is sending money back home because mom walked those dusty roads. Mom
Yes.
knows what it is to be in Liberia, that you need that help, right? We
Right.
can easily turn our back, but we can't. But you know who's going to turn their backs? Our children. They're not turning their back. They never knew Liberia. Okay, the next generation don't know that. They're not going to put a budget in there to send money home monthly. They're not doing that. They don't. It's a foreign thing to them. What happens after we retire? What happened to those people? Are you saying because we elected a person like Joseph Boyka and the likes of Youngblee and Darius Dillon, so people get to die? That's what you're okay with that? You're not angry at the fact that they're literally trying to eliminate a person who could help and build the systems that's going to be needed for the next generation when we're no longer here? That doesn't bother you. It tells me you have a very low character. It speaks to who you are. I think that's disgusting that you don't care about that. Okay. So there is a sense of urgency that you need to have because this time is going and it's going to expire soon, very, very soon. And that's money that's needed. Okay. You talk about the $1.3 billion budget or whatever. Um, Guys, what does that mean? What are we, Bear Mountain Group, what are we losing for that? You think these people are there to help you? You think that they're doing you a favor? How much money is Liberia losing? What's the accountability with that? And this money is not, you said, well, we did this with Darius Dillon. I don't care about Darius Dillon. I don't care. I don't care about Joseph Boyka. Who the hell are they? How are they better than any other Liberian? How are they better than my parents? How are they better than someone's grandparents? Like, are you serious? We're supposed to sit here and like appease them and somehow appease you for what? Who are you? Darius Dillon, you didn't have the discipline enough to graduate high school. Stop talking. Stop talking. You the people that started the war. Everyone's not going to sit there and take that nonsense from you. And you guys want to be treated politely while you're saying that and strangulating other people's children because you have some government job. You must be kidding me. Okay. I wanted to talk about human capital building, Yasendi. I want us to be very clear about this. When we talk about South Korea, when you say South Korea, I know you got to get to the video. When you talk about South Korea and you talk about Singapore, these countries' names that these people are quick to throw out, what did they do and how is it different than what's happening now? People, we're going to go over it one at a time. The first thing these people did was to make sure that their people were okay. They started a major feeding program. They took care of the people.
Peter, Peter, go ahead, finish talking. Then I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
you throwing off my thought,
Yeah.
but go ahead now.
No, I just wanted to say this. People say that like, and before because I want to go ahead of the conversation and then to kind of capture. And then when you explain these things, there were four in place. And hear what I'm saying. I see lately Ellen Johnson Sirleaf have been from radio station to radio station advocating for foreigners, not just foreigners, people that we do not have right in the country to even to live as human
Yeah,
beings.
Sandy, I don't want us to be disjointed. So if I land on this, and we could talk about citizenship. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Just let me know how you call it. The point I'm about to make is if your people are not in a position to even buy food to eat, you cannot force them to develop their land. So let's start from where South Korea started and how they got to where they got to, or Singapore. And that way you are coming in to explain to the people. Because just to give people a light ahead before we go where we're headed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to sound disjointed. I want
Okay.
to go one step at a time. And 100% what you're saying is correct. Our people need to be able to take advantage of their country and the opportunities there, so that we have to build the human capital so we can take care of it. So I wanted to go one step at a time, and I will lose
Go
my
ahead.
train of thought. So give me a second. Okay. They built human capital. The first thing they did, they took care of their people. They made sure that the people were getting fed. They subsidize food. They have food lines, just like in America. They took care of that. America did the same thing. But we're talking about poor countries that came from being extremely poor to being rich. So it's not like they didn't wish and hope for it. They took care of the people. They had a dictatorship. They had a military government take over, just like we did in 1980. But the difference between them is the plans they had was to nation build. They fed their people. The next thing they started what they call tertiary education. They started to teach people how to be plumbers and builders and masoners and electricians, all these skills that was going to be needed. They created an army of people doing that intentionally. They didn't charge them to go learn how to drive yellow machine. The nation, the government paid for those people to acquire those skills that they knew they were going to need for the economy to function. They were intentional about it. They took their brightest minds and they sent them out their country. This is what Yasini was talking about. Why did it do that? Number one, they sent them out the country so that when these people go to the Western Europe of America, they will make money and send it back home, just like we are doing now. But the other thing they did was the expertise that's going to be needed to run these new systems and industries. Those people had to go and learn it. They had to go learn to be doctors, teachers, engineers. They learned those things, but it was intentional. So the money they were sending back was being used to build the country, just like we are doing. And these people were acquiring skills that was needed. That was intentionally done. It was not by chance or by mistake. It was not one or two people. It was test given to a country, took the best of the best, just like the Chinese did when it came to Olympic sports. They industrialized that. They identified people and they did that. Okay, so they built human capital. The next thing they did was like, okay, I'm talking about South Korea, I'm talking about Singapore. Okay, we don't have enough population to build these major industries. How else and we need capital. How can we get capital? Oh yeah, America tells South Korea, if you want to go into steel, we can't help you. Steel is done by other Western countries. As a matter of fact, in America, Vanderbilt is doing steel. No, was it Rockefeller? Vanderbilt? No, I'm sorry. Carnegie. Carnegie is doing steel. Okay, so America wanted to be the world steel supplier, so they told them, we're not going to give you money to do that. So what did these people do? They knew that was good. That's valuable that the world needed to build. The world needed to rebuild after the war. They invested in it anyway. Anyway, they invested in building steel and investing in steel. They used their money invested in steel. So what were they planning on doing? They created an export economy. That means we need something. We need to make a market we can sell to the world. They were intentional about that. What are we being intentional about in Liberia right now when it comes to export economy on manufacturing? After those people did that, they built homes for people, for young people. They put them in homes. Singapore did it. China did it. They took the money. They didn't buy cars with it. They didn't buy yellow machines with it. They built homes for people. Who built their homes? The Chinese, the Singaporeans, and the South Koreans that they just trained in a tertiary education. So now the money is in the country. They took money and give it to their industries, people who had ideas. Samsung is one of those companies, right? That started as a farming company. Because they were making money, the government invested in Samsung so that they can produce the thing that Koreans needed and the Singaporeans needed.
There you go,
and
Peter.
And GE in those countries.
Speak, tell them.
Right?
Yep.
So what they did was they invested in their people. Just like in Liberia, we can invest in our people to own those big hotels so the money stayed in the country. Why were they doing that? They were preventing capital flight. It would have been so easy to just have Americans invest to come and build the buildings for them. But when you pay your rent and you pay mortgage, you pay whatever, it's going to leave the country. They realized that. So there's like, okay, let's empower Singaporeans. Let's empower South Koreans. How did they learn this? They took their best minds and came to America and they stole the blueprint. And then went to Europe and stole the blueprint. That's what you do. You invest in the people. You stop capital flight. You don't invite some guy in to build a bunch of homes that when we pay him, the money's going to leave the country and go to another country. That is not smart. They didn't do that. They took smart people and put them in government, not people who can speak one dialect and forget the other 100 dialects. Talking about, oh, you're more Liberian. More Liberian than who? Being a Liberian means you invest in something that helps Liberia. Not because you can speak a dialect. All the people have been speaking dialects before. What have they done for our country? How they improved the standard of living in the country? Who have they helped? What system have they built? Okay, these people invested purposely in their country and in their people. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, the markets. We should be connecting our diaspora communities to Liberians so that we have a market and we have a pipeline. What are we doing in Liberia intentionally to make that happen? Nothing. This government knows nothing. So don't mention South Korea. Don't mention Singapore. These people are intentional. They took 20% of their budget and put into education. Okay? They took 40% of the budget to put into nation building. When Cummings said, the tape you about to play right now, Rwanda created this National Development Board. Okay? We have something similar in Liberia. But they didn't just do it by just based on word of mouth, or they just paying lip service. They literally created these zones and this environment, and they invested in electricity because they wanted to attract people to come to their country. People were intentional about building a country. They didn't waste money like we are. We're talking about, oh, we need farms to city roads. No, we don't. We don't need farm to city roads. You know why we don't need farm to city roads? Because we have waterways that can serve the same purpose. Okay? This is called intentionality. It's called thinking out the box. I'm not a government person, but I'm a coach and I'm a teacher. I know how the problem solves. If you look at the country and say, okay, we can spend $100 million on roads right now, or we can irrigate these waterways that we have and get shipping so that we can get the same purpose, the same thing will happen, and save money and use the extra money to build our systems, our schools, our hospitals, our roads. That's what a smart government would do. Stop just saying things just to say it to sound good. The government has no thinkers in here. They don't care. Everything they're doing, Yasendi, I'm gonna land on this. Everything that they're doing is to get kickbacks. They somehow get money from it, so therefore they keep doing it. And in the meantime, y'all, people are dying. People are dying. When's the last time you're in the hospital in an emergency? You know how you felt. Imagine feeling that way, but you're stuck in Liberia and there's nothing can be done for you. Are these people not humans? They don't have feelings too? And you care about someone calling Joseph Boyka a bush brain? Those are the kindest words I can say about this person. You cannot destroy the life of other people, other competent people, and then think that someone's going to treat you or talk to you kindly. It doesn't work that way. You are a hypocrite. You're not a good person. So anyway, Yasendi, I wanted to talk about that. I want to talk about the export economy. Everything I mentioned were intentionally done. They were purposely done. It was articulated to the country, just like FDR did here. The government came out and said, this is a system we're doing. People, this type of job, we need these many workers, meet us here. We're going to do that. The only thing we do that for is the military. We should be doing it for doctors. We should be doing it for teachers. We should be doing it for engineers. We should be purposely preparing our kids. None of that is happening. So you guys don't know anything about development. No development is going to happen in that country until we build system, until we stop capital flight, until we intentionally create our army of Liberians who can run Liberia, okay? And make sure that the Lebanese, the Chinese, the Indians does not control our economy and take all our money out of our country. Meanwhile, they're taking all our natural resources, our gold, our diamond, everything else, and we're having them build roads so that they can have even easier time, not easing the easeability of doing business in the country. We're making it easier for people to exploit our national resources so they can take it from the interior area and take it to the seaport and airport and take it out the country. Okay, we are destroying our country, and people are pretending. They're pretending as if it's okay. No nation is being built. There's no development happening. We are lying to ourselves, and they're just all of those things that's happening are all distractions. And that's why they're afraid to have the policy debates on how nations are built. None of them want to have it. They just want to make noise. They want to talk about nonsense and attack personally. And I'm here for all of it. You want to do a personal attack? We'll do that all day. Meanwhile, we'll still point out the fact that you people know nothing. You know nothing.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. And those of you who tune in with us today, again, we want to say thank you. Continue to share the show. Follow us on this particular page, and let's build a bigger community and communicate with each other in the diaspora and back home. I think our common thread here is our country. How do we build our nation that, encourage everyone to be here? Thank you so much. So let me play this video, and then I'll come back and talk about what the law says. And to piggyback on Peter, everything that Peter said is stay at home. Like I said earlier, you cannot compare the process of building America to Liberia. Those are different nations. The reason, and different ideology, okay? The reason we use Singapore or we use South Korea is the people went out and those who stayed, and they built their nation together. But they trained the people locally. So the fund is, when Peter said capital flight, he's saying money is capital. The money that comes in the country, so long we don't train our people to perform the duty, the money is going to leave the country. So our best bet would be to invest in our people, to train them. A young man in Burkina Faso is doing that. When the war told him he could not build a certain amount of road, okay, he said, we will do it. We'll train our own people. We're sending out, we're bringing the best brain around the world. They will come in, we'll pay them, we'll compensate them. They will train the younger generation and everyone else to build it. And look at Burkina Faso. When the war said by 2030, Burkina Faso and the rest of the Sahel will be a desert land, now it can be disputed. That's not a true statement anymore. So let me play this video and then we'll talk about that. Why, in the story here, why do those who say the best among us do not invite competition? Why do they hit those who are working? Yes, the yellow machine. We're going to talk, Peter and I talk about the yellow machine today. And that's some of the things we say. Because somebody says so and I know your idea, you just don't go buy stuff and put it. But let's play this video. I think it's a good thing. Let's play this video. We have no copyright to this video. This is Julius Child interview with Alexander Cummings. Okay, and Peter has something to say about that. I know people are asking Mr. Cummings if he can do this, he can do that without being in government. Okay, but let's go ahead and play this. Oh, what is speaker? Your sorrow.
About the Africa business. See what I can talk to Mr. Alexander Cummings now, because this is what we promised that by this time we would have spoken to him about the Africa Business Leaders Forum that was held recently in the Rwandan capital of Kigali. I am sure Mr. Cummings is on this line.
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Clarence.
Mr. Cummings, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm very well, and yourself?
Well, I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be good. Where are you? Are you back home? Are you still in Kigali, Rwanda?
I'm in Johannesburg on my way back home. I get back home on Wednesday.
Okay, that's okay. There was this 2026 African CEO Forum that just got concluded in Rwanda. And I'm told from sources that it brought together more than 2,000 top CEOs, investors, and business executives, as well as political leaders to network and explore ways and means. But I know beyond that, probably there were specific issues. Mr. Cummings, by the way, how did you get selected?
Yeah, no, this is a forum that selects or accepts nominations based on past experience, based on your level in the organization or in government. So given the fact that I was a very senior executive at Coca-Cola, as you know, I qualified to attend. I was the number 2 executive globally for Coca-Cola worldwide. And so my background, my credentials allow me to participate in that very, very distinguished forum.
Yeah, can we go one step at a time,
what key can Liberia
I want
take
us to-
from
that's
that
important.
forum?
You
want
What
me
are
to
some of the
have it? Okay,
things that
hold
were
on, hold on.
discussed that
Hold on,
you
Peter.
think can translate into investment here or booming the business climate in the country, Mr. Cummings?
Okay, Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we should do it like that, right? If we just let it play, there's too many points that we could miss. And the
Okay, I
people.
was just about
So
I
the
was
first
just
thing,
about
yeah,
to-
and there's a second point he's going to talk about the business climate. But Cummings says something that's very important. And I think it goes over a lot of people's head. One of the knocks on Cummings is that Cummings was not high up in Coca-Cola, right? Again, we need to stop allowing these people to be extremely disrespectful to reality. I dare them. You send Joseph Boyka's resume to a Chinese restaurant to be to go and wash dishes. Let's see how far you go up in that company. What this man just said, he said, I was number 2 globally. Yasendi, the amount of intelligence that you have to have with an African accent that we all live here. We know where your mom, how people move up in industries because they have some connections. This man has 0. Instead of us ever, to me, this is as big as George Weah being the number 1 player in the world with soccer. That is impossible task. That's an impossible task, right? That needs to be celebrated. That's like winning a gold medal from Liberia. This man was number 2 in Coca-Cola. Do you understand how hard it is to move up in corporate America? Here's what is making me angry. All the people who work in corporate, why do they not step up and say, listen, that's impossible what this man just said. Where are your voices? I work in academia. I know how hard it is to move up, especially with an accent and not having a family connection and not having millions. Do you understand how impossible what this man just said is going over people's head? And I blame, we have so many corporate workers, corporate people in Liberia right now. Why your asses now on Facebook saying, no, this man's a unicorn. That's impossible. That's my problem. It's not him to keep saying that old Cummings. He don't need to jigaboo and dance and do the booga. He don't need to do anything. He said it. He did it. We should be pointing that out. That's impossible what he just said. Number 2 in Coca-Cola from small Liberia, now Nigerian, now Ghanaian, now South African. Him, this Liberian, this short Liberian Peking, because he had a brain. Do you understand how much brain power you have to have for that? Do you understand how much interpersonal skills you have to have for that? Do you understand how much people managing skills you have to make that happen?
You have to have
Have you tried that? That is
character.
impossible. Yasendi, we are in education. We know it's impossible. Imagine, listen, how many black friends do you have that's in corporate? They have to do certain things with their hair, the way they talk. They were born here for generations. They don't accomplish that. I have friends who are regional managers, and that's a big deal. And all the things they had to go through, and how someone has to pull them up, and they have to be recommended by 3 different people. And for that man to move up to number 2 in a Fortune 500 company, and we're over here talking about, oh, we have a Darren's yellow rotten teeth Dylan talking about you're not eligible to be president because you didn't get a number. Like, who are you talking to? We're gonna let Darius Dillon stop the person who can help our children. We're gonna let that type of person do it. We're gonna sit there and let a young Bikaga Lawrence, who has added nothing to that country. Tell me one policy Young B has worked on, or Darius Dillon has worked on that's helped the country. Name one. Okay, what idea have they come up with that's helped the regular Liberian? We're gonna let those people eliminate the people who's supposed to be flying this plane for us. We're going to let that happen. And the people who work in corporate Liberia are going to sit there and just let these people disparage this man. And we sit there and let it happen. Not on my watch. I'll be dead before I let that happen. And here's the problem with it, right? What this man just said, Yasendi, it is so incredible because those of us who have tried to move up in these people's society, we know what it takes. We know how impossible that is. And we're here letting a guy who didn't even graduate, didn't have the discipline to even graduate high school. Joseph Boyka didn't have the discipline. It's not intelligence. Discipline to go to American University. He put Kansas State University. This is why I keep pointing that out. Graduating from college and having degrees, that requires so much sacrifice and so much discipline. They didn't have the discipline to do it. They didn't have the discipline to do it. You don't get to destroy a person who not only had a discipline, but excel at it, right? They were excellent. They were the top of the top, and we're gonna let them tell us no, he's not eligible, or the man gay, so he can't. Are you serious? And we just sit there and accept it, Yasendi. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out. This is gross that we sit there and let it happen. But let's keep going. Unless you have something to add about that.
No. I love what you said, Peter, per se. And this also it speaks to us who have burned our midnight candle, who have navigated the water, this treacherous water. Okay, for us to be quiet, for us to stay in the back, we're able to express ourselves in the back end in the chat room with our peers. But we are not brave enough to come in public to say to our people and say, no, you're wrong. Okay? Even if people knew you, you know how many people, even in the modeling agencies, are ready to compromise, but it will not take you there. As what will take you there will be, number one, you have to be the brightest of the bright, the cream de la cream of. Mr. Cummings didn't go to Harvard. He did not go to Yale. He did not go to MIT. He went right here, okay, in Atlanta, a historically black school, okay, that's where he went to. So he has to be a top notch, not only that as an accent. Let me tell you something. The other day at my school, there's a lady who was teaching high school, and she just got her license. She got a license to be able to teach high school, but she didn't teach in middle school. And she was told, and she was really moping, she was told because her accent, she's country, is very deep. And the kids have been complaining. They can't understand her. Look, Peter, I am a Liberian with Liberian accent. Imagine an American, okay? You know how some of the people can talk, how to tip their accent, and they say, listen, we're going to move you around because on this level we can. And she was moping and said, I can't do nothing about it and have my accent. So you think about a Liberian, a young man, okay? He's not as tall as Peter. He does not walk in and you go, okay, he has to be Peter, okay? Here is what funny. In our community, Peter, every time Mr. Cummings showed up, and he was the board, the chair for our advisory board here, okay? Liberian will only come to the meeting when they found out Mr. Cummings is coming to the meeting. But this man was so simple. He would come to the meeting. He showed up before everybody showed up. Time is very important to him. He would sit quietly. He would listen. He would give us or nudge us in the back what needs to happen for us to excel, okay? And after he had exited, when his time is over, he leaves. Okay, people will come and say, I thought they said Mr. Cummings was going to be here. You know how we walk in and say, you know who I am? You know, I'm the CEO. You know, I got PhD. You know, I got a master's degree. That's not that person. So you must be humble. And you must be.
Yeah, Cindy, I need to pause you there for a second. So what you just said, again, it animates me again, right? You just said this man, this CEO, Liberians only come out when they know he's there. Not only is that true, he's there before time. Not only is that true, people don't even know he's there because he has such humility. Here's why what you just said bothered me. There are people out there who have never had a conversation with this man, who don't understand interpersonal skills, who don't have very high level of discernment. That said, this man's arrogant. They say this man's arrogant. This man's proud. We need to put him in a keke. And the people who have interacted with him from Atlanta and all these places, I said, no, I have conversations with him. He's not, and I've had conversation with so many people, right? And he's not, as a matter of fact, he's he's the opposite of what you were saying. My question, just like I said, the people who in corporate America, who knows how hard it is and how much of a big of a deal that what he did, moving up that high is.
And Peter,
why are these people not speaking up?
Yes.
Where are they?
Yes.
So these are people that need to be called out because you're letting the Darius Dillon, that liar, that pretend, that con man, and con men like Joseph Boyka to destroy a good man, knowing that we have these stories. Okay? To me, that's what's important. Pointing out the fact that he was always humble. He's humble now. Okay? He's humble now. The people who've met him. Why are you guys not speaking up? This is the problem. I don't like all this plenty talking. I'm a man. If I'm talking, it's because something needs to be said, right? These people are not doing what they're supposed to do, and they're letting the lowest of the low throw rocks at the throne. And we're supposed to just sit there and be like nice. Okay, let's just talk about it, blah, blah, blah. No, where are the people who he interacted with? I'm one of them. I'm saying he's more humble. You know what he's not going to do? Put a hat on while he's in the house. He's extremely humble. I got coached by Nick Saban. He's a god. He's a god when it comes to college athletics and all this. Okay, I'm saying I spoke to that man. I was coached by that man in my undergrad years, and I met Cummings. They're at the same level of their careers. They moved up very high. It's a different take. If Saban walks in the room, he's not talking to people. Cummings doesn't do that. That very few CEOs would do what Cummings did. Who does? And for people to take that and put on Cummings the opposite, paint him with the opposite of who he is, it's not okay. And the only reason they're able to do it is because we sit there and shut our mouths because we're afraid of someone calling us gay or saying your mind is or you're on drugs. I'm not afraid of you. As a matter of fact, I'm saying let's do this live. Let's do it live. Call me up. And if more people don't start doing that, we're letting these people, these character assassins, assassinate and eliminate the people who should be leading because they're afraid of competition. Nothing's going to change, Cindy. Like I said, I don't like talking just to tell stories. I'm a man. That's what men do. How do we fix it?
Okay, Peter. So let's finish the conversation here. Okay. Let's carry on. I'm going to carry back a little bit. I'm glad that you can say stop. Let's talk about it. I want to hear that just quickly. Okay, I may not be able to play all. I will put it
based on your level in the organization or in government. So, given the fact that I was a very senior executive at Coca-Cola, as you know, I qualified to attend. I was the number 2 executive globally for Coca-Cola worldwide. And so my background, my credentials allow me to participate in that very, very distinguished forum.
That's good. So what key can Liberia take from that forum? What are some of the things that were discussed that you think can translate into investment here or booming the business climate in the country, Mr. Cummings?
So the forum was about encouraging businesses to work together within countries, across countries, so they can grow, they can gain what you call scale, they can become big businesses. And so there was a focus on that. But in the context of Liberia, it's very important that we create the right business environment. And this is where the government role is important, Clarence. If your judiciary environment is not conducive for business, if your taxation environment, your regulatory environment, if your country is not what you call business friendly, right? It is difficult to attract foreign investors. It's difficult for even Liberian businesses to be successful. So
yeah, Sandy, we got to pause
was
here.
about reminding businesses, reminding governments. That's why you had a lot of presidents there, that you have to create the right environment for businesses to thrive and then to create jobs for people. And so my takeaway.
Okay, Peter, go ahead.
Okay, very important. And here's why I'm saying we have to stop here. Cummings has been saying this from day one. As a matter of fact, he got my attention because he was talking like this. The first time I heard this man speak that made me turn and say, who the hell is this guy? Right? Was, I think, 2016, when he was talking about we need to use the Southeast Asian model. Right? The reason why that got my attention is because when we studied the theory of nation building at Michigan State University, which I'm very proud of, this is one of the things that we saw that other nations coming from what emerging democracies did, right? And it was not emerging democracy at the time. They started as dictatorships, and then they transitioned into it. Just like China went from complete communism, which was a dictatorship and a command economy, to now where it's more socialist capitalist country. Let me break everything down what I'm just saying, so I don't get off. Let me break everything down what I just said. This man just said, so the host asked, what can you take back home? Cummings has been saying this from day one. The environment has to be right. When he said environment, he broke down what he means by environment. There has to be systems put in place, fiduciary system, the ease of doing business, the policies to make sure that business climate is good. The man is literally saying what other nations done over and over again. What systems did they put in place? First of all, you make sure your money don't leave the country as quickly as it's leaving now by having foreigners run your economy. Because he talked about the leaking bucket. That's what he was talking about. The more money you put in, the money's coming right out because the Chinese man is sending it back to his country. The Indian man, all the people running our economy going to take it right back to the country. So you got to make the environment, make sure that Liberians are running it first. Stop the leaking bucket. Okay? Then you fix the educational system. All right? The foundational system. He's saying you have to do that. If you don't do these things, and you got to have healthcare. He's talking about healthcare. Preventive healthcare is one of the biggest things. This is not anything you have to memorize. If the people are not healthy, they can't build the country. If the healthier they are, the more they're going to work. You need workers. So turn your people into workers, is what he's saying. Make sure they're not suffering. They're not in hospitals. You get an army of medical professionals. He is literally telling you the blueprint that he's been saying from day one. You're asking how to invest. How can we get people here? The man's saying it's not that simple. We have to, okay, if you want to plant a garden, you have to make sure the soil is correct or the crops are not going to grow. Are there going to be some crops growing? Yeah. Tumbleweeds. This is what Liberia has now. You have a weed growing, but you don't have the fruits that people need to eat. You got to build the conditions. The fact that that's going over Liberian people's head is so frustrating. He said it over and over again. No, sir, the person who's Mr. Host, no real business. Our country, we don't have a domestic economy. The environment has to be right to create a domestic economy. This is why countries like Singapore and South Korea made sure that they had an export economy because they didn't have the numbers, the population big enough to have a big enough economy for what they wanted to do and where they wanted to go. So therefore, they created an export economy. Okay, you have to think about where you want to go and how you're going to do it. The environment, only the government can do that. Only the government can create that environment and put the policies in place for that environment to be there, for us to have jobs like they have in South Africa and killing other Africans to get out. We need the right environment for there to be a healthy economy. We got to teach them skills, okay? The builders, the plumbers, the electricians, all these people, the painters, they got to be able to make money. The mechanics, we got to do those things. Liberians have to run the economy. Stop using that as a slogan. Without that, nothing happens. We don't have the environment because we don't have a government that's intentional about creating an environment. They want to pretend like they're doing it. They're wasting money on machines. They're wasting money on grading roads. This is not how you do it. This is not how you do it. The man have said it over and over again, and people are going to hear it. It's going to go in one ear, out the other. The environment must be created. We're not creating an environment. The environment must be created. And all he means is we got to do things to make sure the money stay in the country and the people in the country are able to do the job that the foreigners are doing, so we keep the money and they're able to do the job that we're going to need to build the country. I'm sorry, yes, Cindy, go ahead.
No, Peter, you're fine. The thing is, and that's what we need to talk about. Let me, before I play the next part, if you're drowning and you already know the person that's going to keep you down there will make you sink, and you refuse to acknowledge that, that is not for me to come and tell you what you need to do. Okay? Your job is to reach for the hand that you believe will help you. That's what it needs to be. That is your responsibility. That's what most humans will do. People, I think somebody did a video before. Are you human? If so and so, I think it was Donald Trump, something that said that you're human. If it's so and so, and Putin said, we all want to die in Africa, but we don't want to build a place. Okay, so it's not for me. I'm here to educate on a broader level. All right, and the story goes, you want to change your environment. If you have a nation with 64% unemployment after you war, and you still think this is cool, it's not for me to tell you. I will talk to our people that I need for them to see this, especially if you can read and write and you live in the developed world and you know how decisions are made. Okay, it's not for me. For P, let me continue this because yeah, let me continue this with this young with Clarence.
Is a reminder to us Liberians that we better create the right environment if we want to attract businesses and create jobs. And I hope to keep preaching that message over and over and over because.
And Peter, I need to speak to this. As a business major, when we say in business climate, right environment, the political environment is the capsule that holds all of the environment because the way decision is made that guard the nation. Okay, your constitution is processed and carried on by the political environment. The political environment directs the security environment. It encompasses the economic environment, the human capital, your education, the infrastructure. All of this falls within your political environment. That's when I hear people say politics. When people say politics, it's about interest. It's about the interest of the nation, the greater goods of the nation. How do you make your nation valuable and put our value to your people, that they are respected, that they are able to find food, not just find food to eat, that they can dream dreams, okay? So when you talk about the environment to be conducive, investors don't come to your country because they feel sorry for you. They don't come to your country because they like your girls or they like your boys. They come to your country for the bottom line. What is the bottom line? The return on their investment. We have to understand that. So whenever you talk about the environment, so if the political environment is hostile, reputable organization is not coming to your country. Those that are coming to your country, that are people that they call high risk. So they will give you a penny on a dollar for what otherwise you could have gotten 40%, 50%, 60% for. Now, let me continue the conversation here. So let me play that so we can get to the next stage.
As it was just re-emphasized at this forum that unless you have the right environment in your country, you're not going to be successful in growing businesses.
Now, one of the things that came up there, I'm told, was youth unemployment. Will come to that. But how does Liberia attract serious investors and to the extent that it will move the country from just talking to execution? you know, when you attend those kinds of forums, you rub shoulders with a lot of people. What did you see there? How do we attract serious investors to the country? We want to move now from just everyday talk to executing some of our you know, development plan as far as attracting investors is concerned, Mr. Cummings.
So I will use Rwanda as an example because that's where the meeting was held. And Rwanda is a classic example of creating an environment where you can attract investors. It starts with the Rwandan, what they call the Development Board, the equivalent of the National Investment Commission. This organization, and I would recommend Liberia contact the Rwandans. They will be very happy to share what they have done to attract businesses. But first of all, they understand which industries make sense in the country. They understand the economics of those industries. And they have created what they call a one-stop shop. So if you want to come to invest in Rwanda, there's just one organization you go and talk to, and they will get you registered, they will get your licenses, they will help you find your offices, they will help you network through the government bureaucracy. They make it easy for people to come in and spend their money with the expectation that they will make money back, Clarence. So again, that environment, you know, the last time I checked, the business registry in Liberia, the website was down. You cannot attract businesses if somebody goes online and the website is down for the registry for businesses in Liberia. So the lesson is that you have to create that right environment. Look at your taxation, look at your regulations, right? Look at your judiciary, make sure those things are working, they're working together, and you attract businesses. So I think the government should contact the Rwandan government. They will be happy to share their best practices as to how they've been able to create an environment where that country is thriving. They grew 9% last year. Rwanda did.
Wow,
We
9%.
can learn from them. 9% that the economy grew last year. I mean, phenomenal. And there are 14 million people, bigger economy, and it's still growing faster than we are in Liberia.
Wow, that was a very good growth. Now, from what you heard over
Peter, I'm going to let you elaborate on this one. Did you hear that? How much they grew? You there, Peter?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just the questioning. His line of questioning is just, again, we just need better for our people. Someone's got to fight for our people. He just asked Cummings the same question 2 different ways, and then he mentioned about we're gonna come to youth. Guys, youth is how you built the country. The young people, you invest in them, you give them money. They're spenders. First, you make sure the money can't leave the country, and then you give to the people who are going to circulate the money. Okay? He literally told you the environment has to be right. We have to create the environment. We have to create the policies to make sure it's helpful. We need to make sure that we train our people. We have good hospitals. We have good schools. Those are things. Human capital investment is what he's telling you about Rwanda, and this is what they did. Okay? Liberia has the same thing, right? The National Development Commission. Once the last time the National Development Commission came out and say, this is the plan for creating low-skilled jobs, and this is how we're going to create a domestic economy run by Liberians. Okay, so here's the point I'm making, Yasendi. These people will always just pay lip service. They can regurgitate. This is what happens when you don't have a real education. All you do is learn theories and then run back to Liberia because you never really worked in the field. The nuanced details matters, right? So this board is supposed to be there to say this is the best way to develop the country. We're not hearing from them. We're not seeing the plans that they're doing. And we damn sure not saying the job numbers go up. We are not seeing that. We're not seeing private sector job growth. So when these people grow 9%, that is unheard of. The reason why it's like that is because it's such a virgin country, just like Liberia. There's so much room to grow, right? And if you do it right, the momentum starts and it just takes off. And that's what Rwanda did. They were intentional. What Liberia did was created something because they heard about it. Similar. It's like listening to Dwalu talk about South Korea and Singapore, right? He doesn't understand the nuance, and he would just throw it out. This country was poor. Look at Singapore. They came, and Lee Kuan Yew did this and did that. He came from, and not telling the specifics of what he did and how intentional the people were. Intentionality. Intentional. They did this, and it checked They literally had hallmarks and they checked and they went back and revised. That's what they did. They invested in young people. They invested in the things that were needed for
So
nation building. They were intentional about it. They didn't guess at it. They didn't kind of do it. They didn't pay just lip service to it. When they say they have this, they had it. And they created a board. Oh, that's another thing we talk about. They eliminated corruption by their corruption board being made not just autonomous, because we have that in Liberia too,
Peter,
but they were empowered. Okay,
let me
they were
let me come in here,
empowered.
Peter. Let me come in there. You
Yes.
talk about the corruption board, right? So the power starts with the buck starts with the head of the state. We are a unitary government. Okay. Somebody wrote the other day, what the president wants is what the president gets. You have around 5,000 positions of the head of government, from the the local government, that would be interior affairs, that would be the zones, the elders, the superintendent, you will call it the municipals, to the different ministries and their subdivisions, around 5,000. All of these people are quote unquote answerable to the president. And the government is centralized. Until we get a leader who is productive, who is intentional, who is transparent, who does not want to loot the state or is not trying to get full before anybody else, that's what we're going to get. The buck starts with the president. Even the ups and downs in the country, I think so many words, that's what it is. It starts with the leader of the nation, especially giving the kind of government or governance system that we have in Liberia. So I'm going to stop here, and Peter want to add, and we're going to play one more.
Yes, I wanted to take off where you left, where you just landed.
Mm-hmm.
The buck stops here. We have a unitary government system. That means one government. They make decisions for everyone, and it goes to the executive, which is the president. This is another thing that bothers me, my soul. And when you see me animated like this is why. Yasendi, I don't like the sound of my own voice. I don't like this. You guys need to understand, a lot of men, we don't like talking. If you see a man's talking, he's probably annoyed, right? Most men don't talk. I'm one of those people. I don't like talking. If I'm speaking, only because I feel like if I don't say it, it's not going to be said. If someone else was saying it, Yasendi, you would not notice me. I would stop talking. I literally would stop talking. You would not see me if it was being said or the things were being done, right? And that's how most men operate. Someone needs to protect our women and children. I'm going to say it again. Real men protect the women and children. In this case, I'm talking about the nation. You talk about the national, right? The greater good of everyone. There are people who this is why some people salute military people, that people who are willing to die for their country. Well, a lot of men, we are that, right? So I'm doing this verbally. When I say willing to die, I literally have been getting shot on the internet with the things to say. I don't mind that because I know it needs to be said. When we talk about Cummings, right? This is why Cummings said he wants to be president. And what did people do? They twist that and say, "Oh, the men don't want to go to the Senate. The men think that only the presidency," and they use that against him. Let me break down why he must be the president. Because when you go to the Senate or you go to the House of Representatives, everything is done on consensus. That means you got to have a bunch of people agree with you. You have to have this mandate of people who are willing to say, we're going to curb corruption. Do you believe that people who are getting paid for consultancy or just sitting in committee rooms and constituency visit
and collecting $100 plus almost $200,000 a year or more?
They're not going to get paid for going for constituency. They say, "Oh, we're not going to take that money." You believe that's going to happen? You believe that people are going to all of a sudden stop being corrupt, taking money from business leaders? You believe that? Yes, Andy, your thing is on the screen. Your personal inbox thing. Get it off. You believe those people in the Senate would do that? They're not going to do it. So going to the Senate doesn't really move the lives of Liberian people. It's not going to move their lives. It's not going to work. That's why. But the executive, though, you can make unilateral decisions that would literally affect the lives of people. You can go to the Senate, you can go to the House, and you can have the best ideas in the world, and nothing will happen. You'll be wasting your time because you have to have a consensus. The people around you have to agree. Yes, Andy, your personal message is on the screen. That's what I said. So you will have people who has to agree with you and want to fight corruption. But as the executive in a unitary government, you can make unilateral decisions. You can make decisions that literally affect the lives of people, and it will work. This is why he says the presidency is the best way, quickest way to help Liberians. It's not because the man doesn't want to serve in the House. He just don't want to be in government. He's trying to help people. And what's the best, quickest, easiest way to do it is the presidency, especially since the people we have right now have no idea the power of their role. They just want the spoils of the role. Okay? This is the problem. This is the reason. So when we sit there and allow people to say, oh, the man's too proud, he thinks he should just be president, and the only thing he wanted to go in the House, go in the Senate first, and we don't explain to them why that's important over and over again, that's a problem. So I blame a lot of the people who are over here saying they're supporting Cummings for not explaining these things. Okay, he goes to the Senate, he doesn't get to help the people like he wants. He goes and becomes a president, he gets to help the entire country. That's why it's important. Okay, we got to empower kids. We got to train kids. We can't charge them for it. We got to make sure they have the skills needed to build Liberia, and then invest in them. We got to make sure capital flight stops. We got to make sure that foreigners can take the money out of the country when we send it back home. And that means you got to get Liberian businesses to compete. That means these greedy politicians who are taking millions cannot take the millions and put it in their accounts and have Joseph Boyka has his son have a birthday party on a yacht. What talent do you have for you to, what business have you done for you to have that type of money to have a yacht party like you're a multi-millionaire? While kids in freaking Nuclear is in West Point, they're living like they're living on slave plantation. Why is that okay with an old man? Why is that okay? It's not. And we need to change it. We need different type of leaders with different type of mindset, and we need to change the way things are going on in Liberia.
Thank you, Peter. We have about 8 more minutes. We usually are here for 1 hour and 30 minutes. We went a little over today. The topic is very interesting. Let me make this clear to all of you. We both have studied history extensively. We come over and have a conversation. When you take our conversation over and gloss over it to mislead, we will come on this platform and correct you and give you in-depth information on that particular idea that we espoused earlier on. Okay, so yes, we will come here and we will explain to you how, because we are talking for knowledge base. We're not talking on the surface or because we're trying to mislead or we're trying to find a government job. That's not the goal. The goal is for us to rise together as a nation, to build a bigger tent. Okay, this week I had which is really bad. Okay, a woman who is battling cancer. Imagine she has to take off her clothes to come on Facebook to ask for help, naked herself to show her breast to the world, advocating or pleading for help. That within itself is a problem. As a nation, for all of us, it's a problem. Another thing is, there's another lady, and I'll put all of that on my Facebook page. I try not to, who went to the hospital, got operation because she cannot pay the hospital. They let her come home, but they left the iron in her leg, and she's in excruciating pain. That's not the nation I want to live in. All right. So let me say to all of you, we will have this conversation, the hard conversation, but we both have studied this country that we're talking about. We teach this to children, to young people who are going on into the world to make a change. And when we talk about these things and you follow us, you are our friend, and you talk on the surface, we will indeed come here and correct you. You see how Mr. Cummings flows? Because that is his area. That is his arena. If economics is his arena. That's what he talked to. Building people or building nation, building organization. It is his pet peeve. Okay. He has saved a country, a multinational organization, Pillsbury, out of bankruptcy. All right. And for those of us who understand, we just found out Nokia went bankrupt. The CEO said, why did Nokia go bankrupt? And said that was not their fault. Yes, the people told him that some writers credited him it was his fault because he's the CEO. He's the brain. He's the one who's supposed to find the best brain and lead the organization into its next cycle. It did not happen. So he ended up finding bankruptcy and other people ended up taking over the organization. That's the same with a nation. Okay. If you cannot build your people to build the nation, once you build the people, you invest in the people will build the nation. In short, that's what we are saying to you. You can get mad, you can come on our post, you can write all of these distractions. That's fine. I have been here since the beginning of time, before Alexander Cummings decided to run. I will always advocate for my country. But if I see a good man, I will amplify him. And that's the essence of being here. Waka can do the job. We know he can't. Where's the yellow machine? How do you go and purchase stuff to pack it when you can't use it? When you don't have people trained to use it? So are we losing money? Are we gaining money? What was the essence of buying? They said about 250 tractor because we saw, or what do you call it, Traore buying tractor. Traore bought agriculture machines for mechanized agriculture in different areas, juice production, cotton, and have people assigned to it. Already have sent people out to train the people that will operate it. You got a farm and you want to put the farm together. They will clear, they will help you, they will bring the army over. They train the army and the prisoners to operate these things. You have no preparation. It's like I said, I want to go to college, okay? But I don't want to go, or let's say I want to operate on people, but I don't want to go to college, okay? For what that field is. I don't want to be a doctor. I just want to be a doctor. That's what we're talking about. Peter, you want me to play one more shot that, and I'm just gonna let me learn myself. The buck starts with the leader of the nation. He has the power, or she has the power to direct the nation. As it was with Lee Kuan Yew, as it was with Paul Kagame, as it was with Hon, what do you call it? The way miracle at the Hon River, Hon Hee Pak of South Korea, as it is now with Burkina Faso. All right, we have the opportunity. China, you know, I heard a Liberian, the lawmaker out of Nimakante district, trying to tell the story of China. China, the 500 years old. China had a 22 years war that broke in between, just that we have pop here during our 14 years of war. China had 22 years of war. It changed the dynamic of the governance structure from a monarchy to a communist. There were two groups, the communists and the patriot. The communists ended up winning. The leader of the Communist Party was called Mao Zedong. He failed miserably. Chinese died. Up to 1976, China could not feed herself. She was in something they call isolationism. Okay, they didn't want to deal with outside world and kept the word. When Deng Xiaoping came to power after the death of Mao Zedong in 1976, he came out with 3 pillars. I think it's 4 pillars of modernization of China. His pillar was the engine that brought the China that we have today. He said, you be a communist country, or communist does not mean you need to be poor, you need to beg, but you can lead the world. And we've seen his output, okay? Agriculture, defense, human capital development, or we'll call it investing in just the people. That's how we got here. And after Xi Jinping took over, the platform is there, the goal is there. And you know what they say? We don't have to re-engineer. Even the Samsung that you see today is built on BlackBerry platform, open platform. All right? Even the Apple. So we have to, the leader must be the arrowhead. The leader must be the vision bearer. Where do you want to take us? How can you take us? What is the resources that are required for you to take us? What are the talent that is required for you to take us? So the buck starts with the leader. That would be my final thought, Peter. The buck starts with the leader. But I can play just one more short minute and you can go ahead and take how much time you need to finish up. Let me just play this young man video and see where we are.
Over there, you back home, you know our advantages here as far as natural resource capability is concerned as a country. What sectors, Mr. Cummings, do you think Liberia can realistically compete in regionally?
So I think we have today, I think we will be challenged to be able to compete, but we have the potential to compete in agriculture. Clarence, if we invest in agriculture, we have the potential to compete. We have the potential to compete in tourism, right? We got 350 miles of beaches, we got rainforests, we got waterfalls. If we invest in tourism, we can compete regionally in tourism, right? So those are two areas that come to mind, that if we invest, we have the potential to be competitive regionally in agriculture and in tourism. Natural resources is a whole different area. You know, I did a podcast about how we need to rethink our concession agreements and that process. But agriculture and tourism are two areas I think we should invest in. It will create jobs right away, and we can compete regionally and globally if we invest in those two areas.
Shortly before I let you go, to take calls from the ground, did I hear
you
that
can pause
on
it
the
here.
flip side or on the sideline or all the things that were happening in Kigali?
Okay, Peter, go ahead. Here you go.
Yeah, I just don't want to confuse people. Like, we got to, all right, couple of things. And I'll come back to my closing. Let me address what he just said, okay? So the question was, what sectors we can invest in. And listen to how Mr. Cummings answered the question. This is how a CEO talks, right? A person who has a clear vision speaks. When you hear us say that before the election, I said Joseph Boyka is a con man. Anyone who's been around really, really smart leaders, it has nothing to do with me. I've just been in their presence, right? So you get to observe. Anyone who's observant, you will notice how they're what's called media trained, or they're trained in communications, and they convey messages and their thoughts to people. Okay. He asked about sectors that could be invested in, and Cummings' response was, "We'll be challenged." It's the same thing with the whole gay thing, right? When they ask him, how do you feel about it? He goes, I struggle with that lifestyle. And they didn't get the fact that he said, I'm struggling with the lifestyle because I'm a Liberian on one hand, on the other, it doesn't jive with my morals. They just take that I struggle with lifestyle because they don't understand how the English language works, right? That's a Liberian thing. He's doing it here again. He's saying we'll be challenged to compete globally. Here's what he's saying. He's going back to what he said earlier. The man's literally saying that we can't compete right now. But he can't tell this man we cannot compete right now. So we think we can compete. We can't. We're not ready to compete. You're not ready for this game. You're not ready to be in this type of fight. You're not. Okay? He goes, if we do the right things and create the environments, yes, there are two sectors that we should be. And then to add that with our natural resources, two sectors, and to combine our natural resources, we would be like Dubai. We would be way far ahead of the game. When the man say we cannot, we would struggle to compete right now. How did he play? We'll be challenged to compete right now. All he's saying is we don't have the things ready to go in this competition. It's a fight. If we go in this fight and try to fight these people right now without training and getting our win up, we're going to get knocked out. We're going to get killed. We can't. So we'll be challenged. However, we do have the potential. There are two areas we can, and those areas they don't require so much overhead investments initially. natural resources, tourism, and what do you say, agriculture. If we
Agriculture.
just focus on those two, we'll be fine. We don't need to build skyscrapers. We don't need to build all these roads for right now. We can literally transport our stuff using waterways, and we're so blessed with those in Liberia. So so that's my response to what Cummings says. You have to listen to what he's saying, and the questions is being asked. I'm not sure if the host of the show is even catching what this man is saying. He's speaking like a visionary, dude. We can't compete. Even if we wanted to, we're not in a position to. Okay, you can't fight that man. He's too powerful for you. You go try to compete right now, you're going to get destroyed. I want to close on this, Yacendi. The entitlement of these people in government who have been in government forever. A person like Darius DeLon is absolutely disgusting that he thinks he can eliminate qualified people with education, passion, Liberians. He literally feels like he could kill them because he has a position to do that. He has an opportunity to do that. That's not something I take lightly. And it's a problem. I know I sound like an alarmist right now, but for Darius DeLon to be that comfortable to attack a person that we know can help us, and he feels like he can when he is grossly inadequate. Darius DeLon could not win a class presidency in a high school, in a middle school right now, based on his intellect and his ability to reason. Okay, that is a man who wants to hold a nation hostage as children die, as women go to hospitals and they're told you have to keep a metal in your leg because you can't afford to pay for it. That's a result of having a Darius DeLon of the world. And here's the thing about it, right? He's able to be dismissive because he have all these minions that know just as little as he does, supporting him and providing shield for him. Same thing with the likes of Joseph Boyka. They know absolutely nothing. These people have no empathy for people. They have spent an entire lifetime lying to themselves, and they want us to be okay with our people dying. And then people have a nerve to say, "Why are you angry?" I'm angry because I'm a human being and I have empathy. If this was happening in another country, I would feel the same exact way about it. Okay. To build the country, we must take the money away from the things that we're spending the money on now. We must take the money away from wasting it on yellow machines and invest the money in giving our kids their basic needs, the shelter, the home, they need shelter, they need clothing, they need food, they need education. In order for that to happen, we have to be intentional. Guys, when we talk about communist China, all communism really is intentionality on steroids. The country tells you exactly what's going to happen. There's no debates about it. You don't have outside telling you, oh, let's vote for this. No. The leader says, we're going to do this. We're going to make shoes, and they're all going to be black, and it's all going to be decisive, period. Everyone got that? Go. That's what the Communist Party did. We need someone, we need a visionary. We need someone to literally tell us what we're supposed to be doing. Okay? That woman that you just talked about, going home with metal in her legs, or all the people laying on the floor at JFK, that's barbarism. That's cruelty. Joseph Boyka, Young B. Conga Lawrence, generator, has more care than the lives of Liberians. That is cruelty. That means we're a barbaric culture, and we cannot be okay with having a barbaric culture. Okay? So I was closed by saying this. I believe one of the biggest problems that we have in Liberia is we're way too polite to speak truth to power. We are way too polite to those people. And because of the culture of being polite, no one is willing to ask the real hard questions to these would-be leaders. And because of that, the cycle continues and people continue to suffer and die. And we keep having a country that we are ashamed of. Nothing in our country right now we would take our family home to, our friends from other countries, and say, look at what Liberia has. even though we have all the potential in the world, all the potential in the world, until we stop being too polite. Oh, the man's old. Yeah, he's old. How about the young babies who are dying? You need to speak truth to power, and we need to not be polite about it. And those who can needs to call out the people who are lying, the character assassins. You cannot be afraid to call them out. I know for me and my household, I'm going to call them out until I take my last breath. So again, Yasedi, thanks for this conversation, and I hope we continue to have it and point out all the thickery, the lying, all the mudding of the water. They will mention countries of Singapore. They will mention human development, and they're doing nothing to support that, and they have no idea the nuanced details of how those countries were built. But they just want to say the words, so they sound just like us. So now people think they're doing the same thing. We are not the same. We're not talking about the same thing. We're not doing the same thing. Bring your Joseph Boycott on any radio or any international shows, and let us ask him questions, and I dare him to answer them as a knowledgeable person. Okay. Thank you, Yasendi. You're muted.
Thank you, Peter. Still waiting for the yellow machine. Still waiting for the borders to open. Peter, to your call about Mr. Cummings don't want to be. We saw Yeke speaking out. They pay money and they kick him out. What his name? Musa Belede asked for audit. They silence him by trying to take his business for him. So here we go. The power lies in the hand of the presidency. That's what change will take place. That's what the absolute change is. Okay. So the change, the buck starts with the president, and nobody here is jealous of Doualou. Peter called Doualou name because we have been talking about how those nations were built. And he pick up the topic, gloss over it to mislead. And we are educating our people and giving you the depth, the actual happening, what happened, how these things happen. Okay, so you can go and read on from third word to first word. You can go and listen to what they call it, the Great Leap Forward, the war in what they call it in China. You can go and how the transition was made, the role of Deng Xiaoping, then Xi Jinping. Okay, and they will kill you if you're corrupt. They don't care what position, what family you come to. Peter,
yeah, Cindy, I need to. Can I address? I'm not seeing comments, and I do that not so.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
easily distracted, so I don't like being distracted because. But okay, I want to address the.
No, I finished with that. I just wanted to say at the closing, but if you want something to say that. Yes.
No, I want to address someone. If someone said that I was jealous of.
Yes, somebody said that. Yeah.
Okay, so let me address that. I want you to, and I could be right. That's a possibility, even though it's complete nonsense. But that's fine. Let's tell me how I'm jealous. Jealous in which area? He doesn't have a better looking woman than me. He doesn't make more money than me. He's not more educated than me. He hasn't accomplished more than me. Jealous in which way, shape, or form? Again, you're not going to silence me by sitting there and trying to project your limitations onto me. Call Doualou when you're done with this phone and ask him. He knows me. He knows me personally. Jealous in which way, shape, or form? Right now, I need you to type it. As a matter of fact, come to my inbox so we can prove anything you said. There is nothing he has over me. And that's part of the reason why I speak as emphatically as I do, and I'll continue to do it. Nothing Doualou has on me. Not one single thing. When you're done here, go and Google Coach Peter Quayle and then Google Doualou's name, whatever it is. Let's see who's jealous of who. What are you talking about? You think you're going to again? You could be a conversation terrorist. You think you're going to silence me by saying, "Oh, the reason you mentioned him," I'm going to mention him every single time. Every single time I'm going to mention him. Okay, and leave that with the audience. Tell me, type right now. Tell me, what am I jealous about? Name that thing. Anyway, go ahead, Yasin.
Thank you, Peter. So I'm going to end this video because Mr. Cummings is ending with the meeting and his advice to the young people of Rwanda. He opened his door. He allowed them to have a conversation with him, and just get his thought on that. If Peter, you want to stay on for me to play before I play the music, that's fine. I have nothing else to say. I just wanted to end that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll watch the rest of it. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, good. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it, and then we're gonna end the story with that. So that's how he ends the story.
You managed to pull Liberian students to a meeting. What did you tell them?
Yeah, no, as you know, Clarence, Liberia is a young country. 70% or more of the population is under the age of 35. And so anywhere I travel, I try to meet young students where Liberians are. And I was surprised that there are about 4,000 Liberians in Rwanda. The numbers bigger than I thought. And most of them are students. And so it was important to meet with them, to hear how they're doing, to hear about some of their challenges. But what was encouraging is that they have seen firsthand in another African country that is working, that is using technology, that economy is growing, and they were inspired by that. And I encouraged them that at some point they need to think about going back home to help, change our country, to take this experience and knowledge. The fact that they didn't have to go to the US or to Europe, but they went to another African country and it's functional, it is working, there's very little corruption, people use technology. So it was inspiring meeting with them, hearing about the experiences and encouraging them, to continue learning, to bring that knowledge back home to Liberia at some point.
So what did they say are some of the challenges they're facing over there?
Primary challenge for them is funding for their education. And they are, hustling quarter to quarter, semester to semester to get funding to finish their education. But again, the inspiring thing is they are finding ways. They are creative. They're reaching out to people. They're doing different things to make sure they continue their education. But I think funding was their biggest challenge. The country has been receptive to them, supportive to them. They're getting good education. But again, the funding has been a challenge. But again, they're finding ways, which again, for me, is inspiring that Liberians, no matter where they go, they do well. They follow the rules, right? They understand the system.
Please don't show me that pepe. The way you find me, a friend and said okay, wow. Press me down, see my heart. Say my candy for the people that are penny. See how you find looking sweet and yummy, oh. Let us say that for you, let me, oh. She on me, she won't stay inside my photo. Now when she want my call, and when she run, though. Yeah, she won't follow me.